Hey Bat fans, welcome back to Room 237 and part 5 of my How to Start Reading Batman series. This is probably going to be the longest and most intricate because this is Grant Morrison's run. This is a common problem for a lot of new readers, myself included, trying to find the correct reading order, what's needed, what's not, what goes where, because there's a lot of books that you read half of, go to the next one, read half of that, finish the first half of this, then finish. It's a mind-fucking mess. And originally, when I made the Grant Morrison video, it was to help new readers because there isn't a whole lot of videos of people just saying, hey, read this order. And Google will never be of help to you. But when I made it, there was a lot of mistakes. There was some things left out that I didn't take into consideration. So this is going to be, I'm going to try to get this one as right as possible. There's only one book, well, two books that I don't own, but I'm going to say where they go. First, I'm just going to run right through the whole thing, just straight. Then I'm going to go through again and tell you what is needed for Grant Morrison, and then what is more so standalone, can read whenever, not really crucial to the run. First, there's a book called The Black Case Book, which isn't really a story. It's more so Grant Morrison talking about his inspirations, the older stories that he really likes, that he incorporated into his run. It's pretty interesting, but again, it's more so just him talking about his run and what stories he took inspiration from. Now, this is one that can be read at any time. I mean, this series is pretty old anyway, but that is the Birth of the Demon trilogy, which starts with Son of the Demon, Bride of the Demon, and Birth, Bride, Son, Bride, and Birth of the Demon, which goes back as far as 1989. This series is just because Ra's al Ghul and Damien plays a huge role in this series. So whether you read this way early on or right before Grant Morrison's run, doesn't matter. I know a lot of people like to use this as a launching pad for Morrison, so that's just as acceptable. But the first real book of Morrison's run is Batman and Son. Now, you may see a different looking cover for Batman and Son. That's because the one I have collects Batman and Son and the Black Glove. I had bought this first, so when I bought this, I didn't realize it had both. So, I mean, if you buy this, you don't need this. If you buy the smaller Batman and Son, you will need this. But it actually goes Batman and Son, then the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, which is one I do not own. Again, I'm just going to go through it straight, then I'll tell you what's needed. The Black Glove, Heart of Hush, R.I.P., Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader, which I just did a long review for this because there's a lot of fun stuff in this, so check that out. Final Crisis. Then we get into the Tony S. Daniel Bridge series. Battle for the Cowl. Life After Death. Eye of the Beholder. I call it a bridge because then we're back to Grant Morrison with, I'm not going to say the full title of all these, just the subtitles. Batman Reborn, Batman vs. Robin, Time in the Batman, The Return of Bruce Wayne, Batman and Robin Must Die. There is a volume 4, but I don't have it. It's not by Grant Morrison. Bruce Wayne, The Road Home, which I just got this in the mail last night. And that goes directly into, well, actually, there's a one-shot called Batman The Return. And it is collected in both this and Batman The Dark Knight by David Finch. Both of these have Batman The Return. I think it's called Planet Gotham. The direct sequel to this. The one shot that goes between this and Batman Incorporated. And then, of course, once you get into the New 52, you have Batman Incorporated Volume 1, Demon Star, and Volume 2, Gotham's Most Wanted. Which, if you're putting these in order of like putting all the books together, I believe it goes after Batman Death of the Family, these, then Batman and Robin Requiem for Damian. Again, that's for my New 52 video. And then, just to round off the rest of Post-Crisis, one second, because I have to get these back in the proper order. So after Batman Incorporated, you'll have The Dark Knight by David Finch, The Black Mirror, Scott Snyder. Yeah, that's where this goes. I know this was in my Volume 1 video, but yeah, it goes way up here. But as long as you know who Batman is in this and what Incorporated is, you can read it at any time. But that's where it goes. Then I believe this is where Gates of Gotham goes. This was a separate graphic novel. Or like a 6-part series turned into a graphic novel. Yeah. But 2011. And I do not own the actual Flashpoint event. It's something I need to get. I just have the Batman tie-in. But that's where Flashpoint goes. And then the New 52. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is... Okay, hopefully you wrote all that down. Because the books I'm about to say are not... Well, actually, I'm just going to give you the actual Grant Morrison run. So, you have the Black Case book. This is optional. You have Batman and Son, The Black Glove. Again, I'm just holding them up because it's what I have. Batman and Son, The Black Glove. R.I.P. Final Crisis. And then these are optional. I like these to be a bridge between Final Crisis and Batman and Robin because of who Batman is in this series. So, Battle for the Cowl, Life After Death, and Eye of the Beholder. Again, optional. I like them to be between Final Crisis and the Batman and Robin series. So then Batman and Robin, or Batman Reborn, Batman vs. Robin, Time in the Batman, The Return of Bruce Wayne, Batman and Robin Must Die, Bruce Wayne, The Road Home, and then Batman Incorporated. That's really Grant Morrison's run. So you're pretty much just taking out The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, Heart of Hush, and Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader. Those books are not absolutely, well, Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul is the most pivotal of these three. These two are more standalone. But Resurrection is also by Grant Morrison, but for some reason it's not really included in a lot of lists. So I guess it's not terribly important. But, okay. So hopefully you made like an asterisk or a star or whatever in that order. Now I'm going to get really confusing on you, because some of these books you got to go back and forth. So I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible. So start with Batman and Son, and then Resurrection if you want to. Then The Black Glove, and then R.I.P., which collects 676 to 683. But read up until 681. So pretty much the R.I.P. story, not Last Rites. Then you read the first 5 issues of Final Crisis. Actually, that's wrong. Read the R.I.P. story. And then you're going to go to Time in the Batman, which has R.I.P., The Missing Chapter, parts 1 and 2. Read part 1. Then the first 5 of Final Crisis. Then you go back to this and read Last Rites, numbers 682 and 83, so the Last Rites chapter. Then you go back to Time to read The Missing Chapter, part 2. I know. So when you get up to R.I.P., just read up until Last Rites. So up through 681. Then you're going to go to Time to read The Missing Chapter, part 1. 1 through 5 of Final Crisis. Then Last Rites. Then 6 and 7 of Final Crisis. Then Missing Chapter, part 2. It's fucked up. I get it. There is other Last Rites stuff with like Nightwing and Robin. That stuff I don't know. This is just the main Batman stuff. So once you get through all that, then you have the Tony S. Daniel stuff. Again, Battle for the Cowl, Life After Death, Eye of the Beholder. Again, I would read these before the Batman and Robin stuff. It's extra reading. It is optional. But if I were you, I would. It does create a good bridge. So then you'll start with Batman Reborn. Read this straight through. Then read this straight through. And then you will read, where did I set that? The first 4 issues. The first 4 issues of The Return of Bruce Wayne. And then you will go back to Time in the Batman for Batman number 700. Which these aren't always numbered, which can be a pain in the ass. Creates 700 to 703. So I guess the first issue, you read the first issue of Time. This book is all fucked up. It has the order in it all messed up. So after you read the first issue of Time, the first part of Time, then you read number 13 and 14 in this, so the first 2 issues of this. You go back to Return for okay, I messed that up, so I'm gonna, for 5 and 6, parts 5 and 6. Then you read The Road Home, the whole book. Then The Return, Batman The Return, which is the last issue in this. Again, also collected in David Finch's The Dark Knight. I would just forget about this for Grant Morrison's run since it's included in this. Just read it as that. Then you get Incorporated. Then after you read Incorporated, there you have it. I mean, I don't think you want to read these with post-crisis. Read them with New 52. I hope I went slow enough so that you could write it down. I know it's fucked up. I know it's crazy. It doesn't really make sense, but yeah. And I might have still messed up because I kind of distilled it a little bit because of, you know, the Nightwing and the Robin stuff that I don't own, like that Last Rites. But I'm pretty sure the order I gave is correct. And then once you get past Grant Morrison, just for good measure, the rest of post-crisis is David Finch's Batman The Dark Knight, Black Mirror, Scott Snyder's Gates of Gotham, and then I don't own Flashpoint, but I'm holding this up in its place, the Batman tie-in, and then you're up to the New 52. Again, I hope I made this as easy as possible. Watch it as many times as you need to get all the issues right. Before you even try to read it, I would just get every one of these books. Again, the only ones that are really absolutely not crucial would be these two that you can read but like on their own. Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul isn't totally needed, but it does add to the story. That would go after Batman and Son. And you could use this as a launching pad, but you don't have to. But yeah. Batman and Son, Black Glove, R.I.P. And then, you know, the Missing Chapter, Part 1, Final Crisis 1 through 5, Last Rites, the 2 issues at the end of this, Final Crisis 6 and 7, R.I.P. Missing Chapter 2, Batman Reborn, Batman vs. Robin, The Return, Parts 1 through 4, First Issue of Time, number 700, Batman and Robin Must Die, numbers 13 and 14, Return, Parts 5 and 6, then The Return, last issue of this, Road Home, then The Return, last issue of this, then Incorporated. And then for the New 52, Incorporated, volumes 1 and 2. Hopefully that's right. I hope I did it right. It's something you're going to want to write down and then reference while you're reading them. But that is the confusing as fuck, messed up Grant Morrison run. If you have any questions, I'll try to help you, but thank you for watching.